Science fiction has the ability to imagine fantastic new technologies that come into place due to the pain points perceived by the author. Many of these wild visions become reality as humanity slowly comes to terms with the need for these changes. In addition to communicators from Star Trek appearing on smartphones, we've seen dystopian terrors like facial recognition. Our policing and commercial marketing are now based on software. The field of artificial intelligence is slowly developing, no matter how many times Arthur C. Clarke warned us. In addition to transport, there's also transportation, and if you like sci-fi, you'll likely be familiar with a variety of spaceships and more mundane vehicles. You are watching YouTube channel, Technology Facade. In today's video, we are going to talk about the future of transportation. What are the vehicles of the future in the year 2050? So, if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, go for that subscribe button and hit the bell icon so you won't miss any future videos we upload. The air and space race. It is expected that the first nuclear fusion power plant will come online in 2040. We are on the verge of affordable renewable energy. In the UK, and other countries following suit, as electricity becomes plentiful and cheap, it will not be surprising that cars, trains, and even hyperloops will all be powered by electricity by 2050. It might be logical for electric planes to be the next step. A major complaint about the aviation industry is the amount of pollution it produces for the relatively few people it moves. Now, small electric-powered aircraft are being released in 2019. In 2022, a craft called Alice is expected to enter service in the world, capable of carrying 9 passengers up to 650 miles on a single charge. Its speed is 440 kilometers per hour, and its service is expected by 2050. By 2022. The battery technology will have evolved to the point where small crafts can travel much of the globe cheaply and without harming the environment with a single battery. Virgin Galactic, SpaceX, and Blue Origin have all launched tourists into orbit recently, and these suborbital spacecraft will compete against new and traditional aircraft. As this technology improves and the price of a ride to space drops to the point where mere mortals can afford it. In the future, it may become possible to launch a commercial vehicle into space and land on the other side of the planet. A few 45 minutes later, China announced it would send manned missions to Mars in 2033, and Russia as well as the United States would follow suit soon after. All plan to begin sending manned missions to Mars around 2040. It is likely that within a decade, spaceships will evolve to the point where they can transport more than just a handful of astronauts. Instead, they will be able to transport whole families and a scientist to Mars. There is no limit to how quickly business executives and tourists will book space on the flights. It might seem far-fetched, but rather than relying on rockets, we could use a space elevator. A Japanese company called Obayashi announced in 2014 that they were working on developing carbon nanotubes long enough to build an elevator in space. With the elevator tethered to the ground and extended far enough into space, the forces trying to throw it away would be balanced against the gravitational pull of our planet. There is no doubt that such an elevator might be possible in theory, but it would take engineers to do it. If one was created, it would drastically reduce the effort and costs associated with placing material and crew in space. A plan was announced by Obayashi to have their elevator operational by 2050. Are our predictions accurate, or will mankind enter a strange new world of hover vehicles and teleportation in the next 20 years? We might be able to use new, modern methods to safely and calmly dig up older technology such as blimps. Autonomous cars. Self-driving cars have been a long-standing future prediction. Between 2016 and 2019, the hype around their creation and perfection began to build. Sadly, companies such as Lyft and Uber sold their self-driving divisions following a string of high-profile accidents and a few fatalities. Despite the fact that the AI needed to make these technologies safer seemed decades away. It hasn't meant that the idea of self-driving cars is over, with big players such as Tesla, Apple, and Google working on it. We will soon be able to trust self-driving cars once they are deemed safe to use. When most road users begin to trust autonomous vehicles by 2050, it will be inevitable that they will filter down the market. Who knows what autonomous vehicles will look like in the future? We just saw Renault float concept, but, given that Back to the Future promised hoverboards in 2015, we got two-wheeled balance boards. Depending on what opportunities appear on the market, this idea might have to wait a lot longer than 2050. A company could even become profitable by replacing taxis and hiring vehicles on demand, and having them arrive at the door of the customer, and lessening the need for individuals to own their own vehicles by replacing taxis and hiring vehicles on demand. Mass transit technologies. If we think the future lies in mass transport rather than individual ownership, you can't do any better than to look at the rail networks. By 2050, the number of passengers is expected to increase by 200 to 300%, while freight traffic is expected to grow by 15 to 250,000%. To cope with this, network operators are already planning larger capacity and increased speeds of between 20% and 60% across Europe. There is a predicted demand for this new technology to compete with these traditional rail networks that will compete against this emerging demand. Hyperloop. A hyperloop is the much-hyped idea of Elon Musk, the company founder who is known for making the impossible happen. Hyperloops carry pods through tunnels where most air has been sucked out. By reducing friction along with this, pods would glide on air skis, similar to pucks on an air hockey table, floats, or magnetic levitation. In the year 2050, cars and trains will be still very much a part of our daily lives. The Hyperloop promises speeds of 1,200 km per hour, fast enough to travel from London to Scotland with new technologies like it. A tunnel of such length can be constructed in just 30 minutes, so Hyperloops are already built. The first Hyperloop will be built in India. It is expected to go live in 2029. That's all for today's video, guys. The future of transportation. Tell us your views in the comments section, and if you're new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe. Thank you very much for taking the time to watch this video. See you in the next video. Until then, best wishes.